Hi guys.
We've missed you so much. We were sad we didn't get to meet with you in person on Sunday, but we're really excited because we're doing some virtual stuff, and it's going to be really fun for us and for you. And we're counting down the days so we get to see you again. But in the meantime, we're celebrating.
Woo! Yay! So excited. Thank you, Lindsay.
Josiah's going to read you an awesome story from the Bible.
Great. You guys, I missed you on Sunday. I love you so much. I hope you're having a great week at home. And today, we're going to read a story called The Captain of the Storm. That's about when Jesus was on a boat with his friends, the disciples. And it's a story about how Jesus is the most peaceful and he brings peace to every storm. And it's really powerful and I love it. And to help me tell this story, I'm going to ask Valley. Woo! Give it up for Valley!
Hi guys!
Hey, don't sit here, go get that!
Guys, here we
Yay!
go.
Hey Lindsay, will you tell us if we're lined up well?
Yeah, that looks good.
Oh,
You
can
come a little
everyone
bit closer
see
to
the
Josiah.
pages well?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, I'm going to read you the story. This is from the Bible, from Mark 4 and Matthew 8. The sun was going down. The air was warm and still. Let's go across the lake, Jesus said to his friends. Jesus had been helping all day, and now he was tired. So they left the crowds at the shore and set out in a small fishing boat. Jesus climbed into the boat to take a nap. As soon as his head touched the pillow, he fell fast asleep. It was a beautiful evening. A gentle breeze rustled the sails. The friends were chatting happily as they headed out into the middle of the lake. Everything was perfect. Just right for a quiet sail. You can turn the page, Valley. They were only about halfway across when out of nowhere, whirling winds swept across the lake, fierce and strong like a hurricane. A blinding flash of lightning lit up the sky. Thunder roared right overhead. The storm blew the water into towering waves that hurled the little boat up, 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 then sent it hurling, crashing back down, down, down. The fishing boat was blown and buffeted and tossed and turned, back and forth and up and down and left and right and round and round. And in the middle of the storm, Jesus was sleeping. Now, Jesus' friends had been fishermen all of their lives. But in all their years fishing on this lake, they had never once seen a storm like this one. No matter how hard they struggled with their ropes and sails, they couldn't control their boat. This storm was too big for them. But the storm wasn't too big for Jesus. "Help!" they screamed. "Wake up! Quick, Jesus!" Jesus opened his eyes. "Rescue us! Save us!" they shrieked. "Don't you care?" Of course Jesus cared, and this was the very reason he had come, to rescue them and to save them. Jesus stood up and spoke to the storm. "Hush," he said. That's all. And the strangest thing happened. The wind and the waves recognized Jesus' voice. They had heard it before, of course. It was the same voice that had made them in the very beginning. They listened to Jesus and they did what he said. Immediately the wind stopped. The water calmed down. It glittered innocently in the moonlight and lapped quietly against the side of the boat, as if nothing had happened. The little boat bobbed gently up and down. There was a deep stillness and a great quiet all around. Then Jesus turned to his wind-torn friends. "Why were you scared?" he asked. "Did you forget who I am? Did you believe your fears instead of me?" But Jesus' friends were quiet as the wind and the waves, and into their hearts came a different kind of storm. "What kind of man is this?" they asked themselves anxiously. "Even the winds and the waves obey him," they said, because they didn't understand. They didn't yet realize that Jesus was the Son of God. Jesus' friends had been so afraid they had only seen the big waves. They had forgotten that if Jesus was with them, then they had nothing to be afraid of, no matter how small their boat or how big the storm. Whoa, thank you, Valley. Woo! That's such a good story. They didn't have to be afraid of anything because Jesus was with them. And when Jesus is with you, nothing is scary because he takes away all of our fear. So next, what am I going to tell you about? I have a chant for you, okay? So this is like when we're in our community and I say something and you're going to repeat something back to me. So when I say peace, I want you guys to say, be still. That's like what Jesus said to the waves when they were crashing all around. He said, hush, be still. So I'm going to say peace, and you're going to say, be still. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Peace. And now this time, I'm going to ask Valley to say it with you guys in the background. Peace.
Be still.
Peace.
Be still.
Peace.
Be still.
Woo! So good. Declaring a little peace over your homes. I love that. Okay. Now, I want you to go and find a piece of paper and something to draw with. Crayons or markers or a pencil. And you can pause the video and go find that and then come back. Okay, now that you have your paper and your drawing utensil, I want you to get really still with God. And like Valley was teaching us earlier about how we hear God, we're just going to ask God a question. And the first thing that comes into our mind, we're going to draw a picture of or write down. And the first question I want to ask you is, that I want you to ask God is, God, who can I bring peace to? Okay, you can pause the video here if you need a moment to write down a name of someone that you can bring peace to that God gave you in your mind, or you can draw a picture of them. And I have one other question that you can ask God right now. Second question is, God, where do you want to bring peace in my home? Okay, once you have an answer, you can draw a picture of that or write it down. Okay, I'm going to tell you about a super cool experiment that we're going to do that I'm so excited about. Okay, for this experiment, you're going to need to get a parent. You need to do this with your parent or guardian. I'm going to tell you how to do the experiment, and then you can pause the video and do it right now, and then come back for some questions. Or you can finish the video and do it some other time when it's more convenient. So for this experiment, you're going to need a clear glass that you can see through, like a water drinking glass. You're going to need vinegar and baking soda and oil, like olive oil. So get the clear drinking glass and pour the vinegar in it. And that clear drinking glass with vinegar represents you. That's who you are. And then you're going to take the baking soda and sprinkle just a little bit on top of the vinegar in the cup. The baking soda represents fear or something that's scary. So I want you to pay attention to what happens when you sprinkle the baking soda on top. What happens when fear is introduced into you? What's the reaction? And then what you're going to do is get the olive oil and pour the olive oil on top of that solution. And the olive oil represents Jesus. So I want you to pay attention to what happens when you introduce Jesus into a situation that's scary or that has fear in it. And then once you've done that experiment and you've paid attention to all those things, come back to this video and finish up with the questions that I have and a Bible verse I'm going to read. Okay, so the first question I have is, how was the science experiment like the way Jesus calms our fears? So for your response, you can talk to whoever you're with, or if you want to, you can make a video, and at the end of this, I'm going to tell you how you can send videos in to Valley, Aubrey, and I, and we can respond to you guys. Okay, so how is the science experiment like the way Jesus calms our fears? Second question, what do you think happens when we let Jesus deal with our fears? So for me, when I let Jesus deal with my fears, changes everything. If I feel scared about something and I invite Jesus into that, he always reminds me how powerful I am. He reminds me how much he loves me and how powerful he is. And then he'll usually direct my thoughts to other things, like people that I love, or things I'm grateful for, or how much I love my home, or things I like to do. And before I know it, all the fear is gone. I remember this one time, I was out doing ministry in LA, and I was with some friends, and we were on the corner of the street, and we all felt super scared all of a sudden. It was really scary. It's like the fear crawled on top of us. And I remember thinking, this is a supernatural thing, and I don't have to give in to it. So we all felt it at the same time, which we found out later, and we decided to just pray and start singing worship songs. And we just stood on the corner of the street and worshiped God, and the fear that was crawling on top of me lifted and completely went away, and we were able to keep doing ministry with no fear at all. It was super cool. Okay, to close this out, I'm going to read this awesome Bible verse from Philippians 4, 6 through 9. It's about having peace, and it's great. Here we go. Do not worry about anything, but pray and ask God for everything you need, and when you pray, always give thanks. And God's peace will keep your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. The peace that God gives is so great that we cannot understand it. Brothers, continue to think about the things that are good and worthy of praise. Think about things that are true and honorable and right and pure and beautiful and respected. And do what you learned and received from me. Do what I told you and what you saw me do, and the God who gives peace will be with you. That's Philippians 4, 6 through 9. I'm going to close this out in prayer. I love you guys. I'm excited to send you more videos and fun content and to hear from you guys. Oh, and if you want to send us videos, Valley, Lindsay, or I, you can send videos to kids, KIDS, @expression58.org. It's an email. So email us. I'm going to pray for you. Jesus, thank you so much for all the kids at Expression 58. I just speak peace over their hearts and their homes. Would you give them revelation and breakthrough about you as powerful God and as the ultimate Prince of Peace? And I thank you for your love for us and how you're guiding us and for all the things we're going to learn as we do virtual Kid City. In Jesus' name, amen.